So, after months of investigation, the trial against Sean Combs is finally underway, and the details that have been coming out are even more disturbing than people imagine. With the first testimonies focusing on the infamous hotel hallway video that finally laid bare to the world the monster behind the practically see through mask that Diddy has always worn. This was followed up with salacious details of the FOs that paved the way for the first day of Cassie Ventura's testimony, where before lunch she dropped a bombshell that just won the Fed's ST case against Diddy. Because regardless of whether people want to ignore the fact that Cassie was only 19 years old when she was lured and enticed by a 36-year-old man who she thought was going to help her reach her dreams of being a musician, there is one thing that cannot be glossed over. Diddy signed Cassie to a 10-album music deal with Bad Boy Records, but Cassie was only ever able to release one album, while the other 9 were never completed, because as Cassie stated in her testimony, the FOs became a job. There was no time to do anything else but do them and then try to recover. And that right there is the very definition of ST. Because when you think of the countless stories of the young girls who were told that they would be getting headshots or auditioning for modeling gigs, only to find out that it was all a pretext to lure them in so they could then be used as bedroom workers, that's exactly the setup that Cassie's testimony reveals, where Diddy locked her in a contract and used that along with the personal relationship to employ her as his traveling party favor. So Diddy used the naivete of a young woman to convince her that he was going to be the key to her dreams coming true. And because she didn't recognize that no man who loved her, or even respected her for that matter, was going to set her up for constant humiliation, let alone pay a stranger to participate in it and endanger her life by allegedly having an untested stranger relieve his bladder in her mouth to the point where she couldn't breathe, or have her huddled on the ground while Diddy and a male dancer that they found on Craigslist both used their hoses to play fireman on her. Or to have a strange man use her body until he was done, and then have Cassie take his release and go into the next room to rub it into Diddy's chest? Cassie's testimony proved that Diddy's intentions were only to control and humiliate her, and his very request for an open situationship where they both had other partners reveals that their arrangement had all the dynamics of blaxploitation films like The Mac. Diddy not only set himself up as a gatekeeper, trying to play God in people's lives, but when the block got too hot after he was caught on film doing what pimps do in the infamous hotel hallway video from 2016, he soon tried to convince others that he had turned over a new leaf by trying to get people to start calling him God when he took on the new name of Love in 2017. Because the Bible clearly tells us in 1 John 4 that God is love. So Diddy went from trying to play God in people's lives to actually trying to play God with lip service and ending his social media posts with phrases like God is the greatest, trying to act like he's actually giving praise to God. But the Bible also tells us that praising the Lord is comely, which means it makes you look attractive. And the pictures show you that Diddy may have been making a show of giving praise to God, but all the while continuing in the same deviant lifestyle of using others to fulfill his lust, whether it be for flesh, power, glory, or money. Publicly aligning himself with known faces in the religious communities in order to change the public perception of the type of man he really is. But he must not have gotten the memo that God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Because we've all heard the rumors surrounding Kim Porter being taken out. And even if you don't believe them, we all saw how Diddy treated Kim, publicly dating other women like J-Lo and Cassie, while still in a relationship with Kim, and while she was pregnant with his children, completely disrespecting and belittling her. Even if she allowed that, is not an act of love. And then to try to revise history with that Love album in 2023, calling his relationship with Kim an example of black love, was complete and utter crap. Then on November 16, 2023, he had the nerve to post on Instagram that working with Babyface on his love letter to Kim was a dream come true, that only God can orchestrate moments like this. Diddy had the nerve to act like God was co-signing things that are the complete opposite of his nature, because no part of how he treated Kim or any of the other people he used and discarded is in any way, shape, or form related to love. And it was almost like God's response was, "Oh, so this what you still doing?" Because guess what happened later that night? News of Cassie's lawsuit hit the internet, and Diddy's world as he knew it was turned upside down. Because you know what God does co-sign is his word. Now, for those of you who don't know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, the base things of this world and the things which are despised, to bring to nothing things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. So leaving the allegations aside, you can tell by the way Diddy treated women like they were his traveling entertainment system, interchangeable and disposable non-entities, that he considered them weak. But for Cassie's lawsuit to be one of the first things to start the crumbling of all the things he prided himself on, tell me that's not the weak things confounding things that are mighty. And the fact that all the supposedly wise people on his team, lawyers, advisors, and such, apparently told him that if he settled, then those allegations were going to just fade away, which led Diddy to make an unprecedented move and settle with Cassie in 24 hours. Like, in this age of social media where the internet never forgets, that would make all the allegations disappear into nothingness. But instead, that very move started the brick by brick dismantling of his empire that was built on the broken, tarnished, and stolen dreams of others. It's very telling that of all the people that Diddy has supposedly helped through the years, his family is the only one that was seemingly prospering, while it seemed like most of his associates are either locked up, checked out, stressed out, or wiped out. Then, to have his own lawyers basically acting like the ops as Diddy was arrested and held in jail without bail?
Diddy's lawyer smiling while walking away after Diddy's bail is denied, is giving.
This is definitely a case of the foolish things of this world completely blowing up the spot of someone who considered himself so wise in how he played the game that he was in his own mind untouchable. Diddy has shown everyone exactly who he is. But because they wanted something that they have already been given, some have refused to believe him, which has in some cases led to them being reduced to bargaining their sexuality or other things for their dreams, which never quite pan out the way they hope, because they've paid a man more than they can afford for something that the Lord has already given them. Because what some people forget in the initial excitement of recognition is that the only reason most were invited to a Diddy party to begin with was because their God-given gifts and talents had made room for them and brought them to the attention of others. Just like Cassie's Me and You single was already a hit, being played in clubs around the world, which Diddy happened to hear one day. And that's when he arranged a meeting with her. So instead of remembering that they were already on their way to reaching their dreams, they allow a usurper to convince them that their success is dependent on going to a party, networking, meeting so-and-so. And for some, whether they walk there or are carried there, the video has already started recording. And instead of being treated with the respect that their talent has generated for them, They're reduced to being party favors for people who revel in the kink of humiliating or trying to destroy those who have something that they don't. And though it may seem like those people have it all, money, affluence, power, it's not enough for them. Because although Jimmy has ribs and steak, Jimmy also wants a piece of your chocolate cake. And he'll say or do whatever he needs to get you to hand it over. So regardless of whether you believe all the allegations or not, Diddy's own actions have shown a level of disrespect and disdain towards his own people that has to stop being perpetuated in our community. Taking gross advantage of the desperation, naivete, or lack of self-respect of others when you are in a position of power is nasty work. It doesn't matter if it's drawing up artist contracts that are so unfavorable that after years of hard work and making millions for the record label, the artists have nothing to show for it. Or if it's treating women with such disrespect by publicly flaunting them as interchangeable party favors, just because you question their motives for being with you. It doesn't matter that they allow themselves to be treated that way. For someone who wants to call himself love, how you treat someone should have nothing to do with how they value or esteem themselves. Diddy's actions seem akin to the character that Samuel L. Jackson played in Django, where you have a melanated man choosing to follow a nasty blueprint set by those who think they are in control. Instead of charting his own path and doing it better and more righteously, he adopted the same pattern of stigmatizing, disparaging, degrading, and taking advantage of his own people to the extent that his behavior is even nastier than those who have done the same to him. The allegations have been around for years, and whether it's setting people up, plotting on people's lives, intimidation, or setting the stage for people to be preyed upon by others at parties, Diddy's wealth isn't an example of black excellence, but exploitation. What good is it doing us to have someone in a position of power that's going to do his own people dirtier than those that came before him? Artists getting their publishing back years too late in exchange for signing an NDA is not generosity, and it's not turning over a new leaf. And all the name changes in the world aren't going to cover up a pattern of behavior that he apparently can't stop and won't stop on his own. We can't keep putting people on a pedestal because they have money. Money is not the goalpost, and it's so easy to access once you take the blinders off. They don't care about setting people up with money. Look at the make-believe numbers paid to athletes and other entertainers who basically play every day for the amusement of others, while those considered essential workers have to strike almost every year to get something close to a livable wage. Money is a tool being used to control that basically took the place of the whip. Making money an idol has led people to their destruction. And there's a reason the Bible tells us you can't serve God and mammon. Jesus came that we all have life, and that more abundantly, which means that regardless of the lies that people want to feed others, you can reach your dreams and live the good life without losing your soul, your integrity, your self-respect in the journey. So for anyone who wants to bring melanin into this, or what about the non-melanated who have done worse?
Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. Period. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is.
I'll say it again for the people in the back. This has nothing to do with skin. What good does it do us to have someone who looks like us doing us worse than the others? That type of thinking is ridiculous, and it's why some people are still in the same place mentally as if it were the 1800s. It's time out for thinking that says oppression is okay as long as it's from someone who looks like you. It's time we call BS on those type of lies that have allowed the ops to seemingly creep in undetected to try to destroy a culture from the inside out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.